Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Family caregivers, older persons, welcome back to Lana's Little Things podcast, where Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist, talk about all things on living agelessly, bridging generational gaps, family caregiving, entrepreneurship, and just life itself. Because look, life is just switching and switching all over, and everything seems to change. I know hour by hour it seems, right? Is that you? Is that your experience? It's mine, I can tell you. And this week, so let's get right into it. What are we going to talk about this week? Well, something that affects many persons over the world. The statistics are not fully known, but it's thought that quite a number of 60%, 30, some have 60%, some research has 60% of persons over the age of 70 who have Parkinson's disease. So, it's not as famous, or you could say as well known as dementia, or as talked about as Alzheimer's, and so on. There are foundations that are doing tremendous work. Parkinson's Foundation. There's so many others who are on the ground and up and on the boots on the ground, and they're doing that work. But it still remains, I don't know, like the side sister to dementia. So I thought I'd highlight some of those points of not just what Parkinson's disease is, what the causes are, what management is, how it presents, how it looks, where it is in the brain, and also does it have a connection with dementia? Does it have a particular age limit? Does it? And what, if any, are the early signs of of Parkinson's years in advance before that we can actually pick up? Maybe in a person who might be in their 60s, maybe it might be in their 50s. That can help us to distinguish and make this disease a little bit more, well, earlier manageable, because there's no cure. So for those of you who have a family member, or you yourself are suffering with Parkinson's disease, or or you have questions and it's just started in your family, and you're going, your mind is all over the place looking at every single thing. Well, here's another channel where I hope I will, at the end of it, you will have a bit more clarity on what it is, what to look for, what you can do, why it happens. Because at the end of it, we really just want quality of life for ourselves and our loved ones. So let's just get into it. Remember to like and subscribe, press notification bell, and just let me know your thoughts. I really just, the feedback is so tremendous. It means such a difference to me. Makes a difference. It makes a difference to those who are seeing it as well, because they know, like you, that none of us is alone in this journey. So, what is Parkinson's? Well, I think James Parkinson was a scientist who had first described this degenerative disorder, having seen it where he was. And of course, in those days, obviously, we had to see it after in a medical examination after death. Thankfully, we have some early markers that we can do. So, yay for medicine. But what is it? I'm going to use a word. It's a neurodegenerative disorder that affects mainly these neurons and nerves. So the nerve section in the middle of our brain, if we were to take this and look it through in the middle, you see it lodging in the center here in the back, in the middle of the brain, and it's called the substantia nigra, a black body, gray body. It kind of looks like I was saying butterfly, but it doesn't look quite like a butterfly. It's got a crescent shaped hump, and it's got a curve in the middle. and then like a shape at the bottom. Not to worry, you will find it. Don't want to distract you on shapes and sizes. So it affects that area. And what does that area produce? What is the main nerve cell or neurotransmitter? The nerve that transmits the signals to our body, our muscles, our brains, our organs. That substance is dopamine. Now, dopamine has had a huge rap when it comes to we've heard of serotonin, dopamine, all the yummy stuff in terms of oh these hormones are gonna affect your mood, they affect your life, they affect your happiness, they affect your sex life, these sort of things. And they are stimulated by drugs. Yes, of course. Chemicals will be stimulated by external or internal forces. But there's so much more to the human body. Dopamine is a special receptor that enables us or is involved in telling the muscles what to do and how to do it and when to do it and to coordinate that with the rest of the body. Message comes from the brain, muscle takes the message, muscle hears what the brain is saying and does what it says. So I do this I am not doing this on my own. My brain sent a message to my finger, which in turn sent a message so that I can do this. So if that's disordered, or I can do this and stay still. If that's disordered, you can see how the messages aren't getting through. And this is one of the most, and I'm resting, I'm not doing anything, I'm not intending to do anything. But this is the resting tremor that you see commonly with Parkinson's disease. What you also see is a difficulty in being able to do fine movements like undo uh, this sum. To get this bow undone will be very challenging for persons with Parkinson's. Buttons are key, are a big one. But I digress. That's just to start off, just to wet your, you know, help your neurons and your brain messages to keep going. So what are the so that's what it is, okay? Where it is, what it does. So you can understand then what some of the symptoms are. And many people are familiar with Muhammad Ali. I really applaud him for being bold enough to come out and say, this is my condition, and to share it. Because seeing him, seeing his progress, hearing his progress all those years, may he rest in peace, his progress all this time has helped so much in Parkinson's disease research. Michael J. Fox, another well known actor, not calling, just name dropping. I'm saying that these are the faces that we recognize the most. So if you have the opportunity, by all means, research, go Google research them, go see what the organizations they're doing are helping so much with the research that's going through Parkinson's. Because just like Alzheimer's, just like, well, dementia of the Alzheimer's type and all the other dementias types, Parkinson's, although not dementia, is another one of those brain diseases that we just don't have a cure for. So, but we can manage it and especially manage it early. And something that I found so reassuring was an article I read. Came up in my doctor's feed this week, and I was so excited to share it. I thought, wow, this can help. Oh my word. So, let me just give you the summary. Parkinson's is characterized by, or the most common, because it can develop over years, and everyone is different, mainly the tremor in the hands, but also every movement is slow or slowed down. The way to do something is slowed down. To go get the mug, the cup, to pick up a fork, the movement is slowed and sometimes uncertain. Walking is very slowed and uncertain before it becomes the typical shuffling walk of Alzheimer's of Parkinson's. That's called bradykinesia, which is slowness of movement, and reduced movement, which is hypokinesia, or you can say less movement. Not only that, because the messages are not coming through as they should, the limbs are like, okay, you want me to move or you want me to stop? You want me to move or you want me to stop? So you can imagine that limbs start to get stiff because the messages are confused. So especially limbs or movement areas, they muscles in there tend to be stiff. So moving an arm, the person who, especially if you try to move it, or help them to move it, active movement instead of them doing it themselves, which is slow. Say, Mom, let me help you. And you feel as though you are pushing against the brick wall. You're, how did this person get so strong? It's because the limbs are rigid. The movement is rigid. It can even be like jerkily rigid. See what I mean? So sometimes it means like it would come and then it stiffens and then it would come. And this is a movement or motor related disorder. Sometimes it might not be related to movement, as we spoke about before. And those non motor movements are similar to what affect our it's in our brain, remember? So it's going to affect other chemicals. Other chemicals are interconnected with dopamine. Dopamine is not only found in that particular area, we are all a mixture. And so we'll talk about some of the other non medical symptoms a bit later, but just to know that there are mood conditions that are associated with Parkinson's. Again, it is not dementia, but we'll talk about that a bit. What's the cause? Well, I'm certain if any doctor knew the cause, there will be not only a Nobel Prize, money, car. I mean, I'm just like saying, could own half the world. But the thing is, it remains largely unknown. Is it genetic? Is it environmental? Is it diet? Is it water? Is it where we live? Is it our communities? Is it smoking? Is it drinking? None. But it may be, as we say when we, as scientists tend to say when we're not quite fully sure, what seems to be the most common though, that comes up over and over again, is genetic. We do see it in families, and it can be environmental as well. But largely, we don't know. So, grace for the space, there is lots of research, but we don't know. So, we don't know. Okay, so if your doctor says, I don't know, don't look at him like, huh? We don't know. Medicine, we're searching. Okay. So although there are no treatment options, though, available, does that mean that nothing is treatable? No, it doesn't. So things are going, what we call pear-shaped when it comes to Parkinson's in the brain. The chemical isn't doing what it ought to. The chemical is reducing. The limbs are reducing. Your person's not the same. They're shuffling, right? Now, what is the main uh, step to living well? I'll just say this so that you don't get too distraught. It's just to understand the disease and the progression and work with what we have. Because a quality of life is still possible. I say that again, a quality of life for any person with Parkinson's is still possible. All right, but what I saw that was almost revolutionary and helped so much was a medical article that came out recently and said that we can actually find early symptoms because by the time the person starts to show that tremor, half of the receptors are gone and they're lost irreversibly. Irreversibly. So you know that we're playing catch up from the time we start. So Is there anything that can tell us like sooner, please? What will happen? Okay. Yes, thankfully. So what happens first? One of the things that happens is the sleep. If you're a person who has a spouse or someone who's right next to you or family members in the next room, your sleep, especially REM sleep where we dream, is very vivid. It can be very violent. So there's kicking and there's screaming and there's yelling in the sleep, and and it just becomes violent. So what's happening there? Movement disorder, sleep disorder, punching the partner, kicking the partner, those sort of things, and not deliberate. Could it be a sign? Hmm. It happens, and so just mention that to the doctor. Just say, I wonder if that's happening. It's rare. It happens in about 1% of the population, but hey, and those above, and it goes above to 5%, and those above 6 years. But it is considered like a preset to the onset, full onset and seeing of Parkinson's disease. So it helps. It helps to know, but it can be in combination with some other ones. So what's another sign? Early sign, mind you, constipation. Remember we talked about the movement. So the gut or colon has muscle, so it contracts and it goes down until we eliminate. What happens if that muscle there's something affecting that. So it slows down the gut motility and water will be absorbed, and therefore constipation is an early sign. If this is not related to diet or any other changes, and persons over 60 start thinking, may this be constipation? Not by itself, but in connection with other things. What's another one? Smell. And this one puzzled me a little bit because I'm like, it didn't puzzle. It was good to know, like, but for how with the sense of smell that's gone, that is obvious with COVID-19 as a side effect. How can you tell now that smell is disrupted? Well, has it changed significantly from what it was? That can be a sign. If you're able to perceive, like distinguishing, like from an orange smell to the smell of a peach to the smell of a banana, different things, or to the smell of your favorite food. You're not smelling it like you want, so you're not tasting it as it should. Taste receptors go down with age as well. Smell receptors go down with age as well. So again, but it is an early sign that can go unnoticed. And people think, oh, I'm just not smelling right because I'm getting older. No, aging is not a disease. I say this like a mantra. Aging is not a disease, it's a process. And the different processes that happen. Just saying. So there's some proteins that might disrupt those areas and affect what we call olfactory or smell function. Remember, it's quite close to the midbrain, actually. And another one that is, well, if you go par for the course, smaller handwriting. Your handwriting might have been a certain way, whatever way it was, bigger or smaller, it is tinier. Letters are closer together. Can't distinguish the T's from the H's. And it's different from the handwriting that they had before. That's a subtle sign again because the motor functions are less. Your certainty in writing is less. The tremor, the fingers can't hold quite, so they're trying to get the words in and get them to close together and get them written. And it is really obvious to see the change in a person who, before the Parkinson's disease was diagnosed, and while it's being diagnosed, and as they progress. Really, really is. So look for that in yourself or your family friends. Those are early signs. So if we can find that, the tremor, before we get to the rigidity and all of that, smaller handwriting, smell dysfunction, constipation, and sleep disruption. But there are still typical, yes, typical, so that you're not, you know, throwing darts at no board. What are the typical signs? We mentioned tremor at rest, and it's calling like pill rolling, as though you have something in your hands and it's rolling. But you can tell the slowness of movement, the stiffness of the limbs, instability in walking because you're not quite sure where you are. And remember, we mentioned the non-motor or non like uh, muscle related connections. That those are, and they can be wide and varied. And I know they can be connected with other conditions. So put all together, combine all together. Have a family meeting. Discuss with your family if you feel as though this is you. So I found I was getting this, and I found I was getting that. And as soon as we in the family have this, please, it cannot be cured. The earlier we find it, the better, because the medication is in research. The one we have, the main one we have, helps with the dopamine receptors and other things and can help. But there's no one pill. So please help us to help you. Symptoms are not muscle related, but are associated and can be misread are depression, anxiety, loss of interest, hallucinations, change in pressure when you stand and you feel dizzy, your blood pressure just drops and you stand. That happens as you get older anyway, but it is a feature of non-motor Parkinson disease features. And it can be mixed and varied. Now, again, another thing just to say is dementia are dementia and Parkinson's related? No, the origin is different. However, because of the progression in a brain of a person with Parkinson's, at times there can be it can lead to dementia types. So it can be associated with the dementia types. So memory loss, memory decline, slow thinking, decreased and impaired judgment, that kind of comes. So you do have a mixed picture of Parkinson's and dementia, but I don't want you to say, well, oh, Parkinson's is a type of dementia because it's not. A disease all on its own, and it's not a part of normal aging. It is just because you're an older age, it does not automatically mean you'll get dementia. It doesn't automatically mean you'll get Parkinson's. So live your life. Find out check your signs, check your family signs. Be all by all means, ask your doctor, bring it up, bring it out, because we don't want to come to the place where we've already lost 50% of it. There are many. There's much more research. So much more that can be said about Parkinson's. But I trust this uh, bit of information, the early signs, the explanation, what you can do, how you can managing through it, and understanding how to live with the disease in its process. Speak to your doctor on what can be done. There's some exercises that therapists take you through. So there's always something that can be done, even if you can't cure it. So just thought I would share that with you. From my heart to yours, Dr. Lana, please let me know if this was helpful. Share with a friend. Put in your comments below. Notification bell thing whenever you will be getting new content every Saturday. And I just wish you well. Have a wonderful time. Take care of yourself. Know your signs. Know your numbers. From my heart to yours. Mwah.